What's going on, guys? Jake Adams here, and I'm in Van Nuys, California, and it's Friday before Reef Palooza, so everybody's scurrying right now to get everything ready for Reef Palooza, and still found some time to come to my old stomping ground here at Unique Corals. This place is loaded up with corals, all kinds of different colonies, frags from all over the world, and a lot of very interesting product. And I'm really excited to have my good friend Joe Caparata, who's going to give us a tour of the facility. So here he is. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going? Thanks for making some time for us.
Yeah, no problem. Looking forward to this.
I know we got just a little bit of time to walk through the place, and you can tell us all about it.
Yeah, we'd love to. Let's do it.
All right.
Go see some cool stuff.
Very nice. So tell us about your giant man cave.
This really is the ultimate man cave when you love corals as much as I do. And as Jake knows, he's been my friend for many years now. This has been a passion, a hobby of mine. Started at 13 years old, working at a fish store after school, and started servicing aquariums to people in New York City and built up a really successful business there. And then that kind of got me into thinking about the bigger picture. Moving to LA where the coral scene was. Bringing in corals into LA, doing wholesale, doing retail. And this is 5 years in the making. So when the corals first come in, they're unpacked, packing table. They're broken into different sections depending on the lighting and different needs of the coral. And then we'll pull everything out the next day, dip it, inspect it, make sure they're good. Anything that's really cool, we'll put on square discs, move it into another area where we can bake, like put it in the oven. But this is kind of where most of the corals come in and get received. Right now we get from Australia, a couple of different suppliers there. Some in the north, like in Cairns, and some a little bit further south, Mackay down to north of Sydney area. And then we also do Indonesia. Bali Aquarium, Vincent Chalias, awesome guy, great friend of mine. He's kind of the pioneer in Bali, and we're very proud to say that we support him as well. So these raceways are 2,000 gallons each. They're 30 feet long, 2 feet deep, 4 feet wide.
And how many do you have?
We have 6 of them right now. We have a lot of different lights here. We've experimented with LEDs, T5s, halides. Being a little more old school, I love halides, I love T5s, but now it seems like the world is kind of shifting towards LEDs. So we're just slowly bringing the whole facility onto Radion.
Would you say you're an even mix of T5, halides, and LEDs?
I would say, yeah,
it's
very even mix. And certain corals, it seems, do really prefer the blanket loving effect of T5s. You're just baking them in that soft glow of blues and purples. And it's been a little challenging. As you know, LEDs are great, but they can be a little less forgiving. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with them as well.
I see you got these whiteboards here with a lot of chemistry. Tell me how you manage your chemistry on a commercial scale to get results with the corals like somebody would have in their home aquarium.
Sure. So it's really no different than a small tank. I mean, you have shifts, parameters move, but it's just on a larger scale. So your deviations are similar to on a small tank, but you just need a lot more material to do it. The ICP testing really has helped us out, kind of pinpoint and get things close to the way we want them, but just transparency, putting things on the board so everybody can see it. Magnesium, calcium, and if you do that and you force people to write it on there, it's very hard for something to go overlooked. So the ICP testing every 2 weeks really gives us a snapshot of the water chemistry, including the nutrient levels, namely PO4. ICP will test for phosphorus, and then we calculate the phosphate, total phosphate off that. And it's a little bit ironic because most people are trying to get rid of nutrients, but in these coral systems with no fish, we're having the opposite effect. The corals are consuming, under these bright lights and perfect stable water chemistry, they're consuming all the available nutrients to the point where there's constantly not enough. I love just grabbing pellets even, just putting them in the corner, let them sink on the bottom. The few fish that are in here eat them, but then without a doubt the phosphate levels will come up, but they will not stay up.
Very cool.
And we really see the effects of the feeding.
So are there any trace elements that you chase with the ICP test? Because I know when I was here, there was definitely a couple of them that I was really looking at, like molybdenum and zinc. Have you find any of those especially beneficial for corals?
Yeah, so strontium, which is not really a trace element, it's more of a major ion, but strontium is something we pay very close attention to. Potassium, and with handheld potassium kits, they're very hard to get a good reading on. So the ICP test really helps with potassium, strontium, molybdenum, manganese, nickel, zinc. All those things are extremely important.
And obviously any kind of contaminant that you don't want in the tank.
Yes, yeah. So we've seen high levels of selenium coming in here. Occasionally we'll see copper reported in the system. We'll try to figure out where that's coming from. Aluminum, if we're running an aluminum-based phosphate removing resin, sometimes that will be elevated and we'll switch back to a granular ferric oxide. Yeah, so having the testing gives us a snapshot and kind of like Big Brother watching over us to see if anybody's falling out of line. Over the years, I've been swapping things out, and lately a little bit more aggressively, swapping over our Arcade 2 pumps to Viz pumps, swapping over our light hogs to Radion lights, and trying to get as efficient as we can with moving water, using some Panerai pumps. You know, we're constantly experimenting. But let me show you some stuff. So over here we have the Stocko calcium reactor. This is the model EXT13, and this is a pretty cool unit, a little bit different than conventional calcium reactors. It minimizes a lot of the variables, which leads to more predictability. So constantly putting CO2 in and shutting it off via a solenoid controlled by a controller. And if you need more alkalinity, you just turn this dial. If you need less, you turn it that way. Otherwise, it's pretty much a set and forget unit.
And it's driven by these dosing pumps here?
Exactly, these two dosing pumps. You can see they're not dosing right now. It's probably in a vent cycle. It's degassing a lot of the gases that build up. But you really just want CO2 in here. You don't want the inert gases that tend to build up in a calcium reactor.
But here we have your WYSIWYG section, right?
Yep.
And you have a bunch of different corals, always a huge variety of corals on Unique Corals website, right?
Yes, and what I like to do differently is, if you look at the trends, most people are selling frags nowadays. Crazy hype name frags. And I just can't commit myself to naming everything, because a Lobo is Lobophilia. It doesn't really deserve a trade name. So we don't do that. If you notice Unique Corals, it's kind of becoming unique, not so much for the types of corals, but because we're shooting on egg crate, we have large colonies, a lot of whole colonies of Acropora, SPS, LPS. So I don't know, people have told us it's a breath of fresh air, and it's almost like shopping in a brick and mortar store versus a typical online now where everything is just so named and so blue, the photos, and so small. And yeah.
So what are some of the hot corals right now? You know, what are things that you're into, and what are some of the things that your customers are into?
Well, everybody's into sticks right now, which is great. I think people are having more success, I don't want to say than ever, but it seems to be a renaissance of Acropora. A lot of named ones. Obviously, people want the home record, still want the Walt Disney.
Acroporas, they never go out of style. They wax and they wane,
Yeah.
they always come back.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like the 5th comeback or something.
You know, you still got the people chasing the mushrooms and the hot pallies. Those will always be there. Acans, which are now Micromusa, are still hot. Prices come down a lot on those. But you know, we just try to cater to everybody. It's like a diversified mutual fund. Have a little bit of everyone, and people just pick all day long. But as far as really cool corals that I love the Solomon Island Purple Monster. I just wish I could get it to grow faster. And that coral it's got some sentimental value to you and Tim, because you guys brought it back here from Solomon Islands.
Right.
And I've largely stayed away from the fish because, as you know, it's hard to guarantee that you're getting sustainably collected and sourced fish. We try to get what we can from Cairns Marine. They're expensive fish, but you do get what you pay for. But we do really try to get stuff, as many maricultured pieces as we can over wild stuff.
So over here it's just, you know, kind of run and gun, a lot of shuffling, a lot of corals moving in and out, especially where you receive your wild corals. And over here is a little bit more of the pure Triton method. Corals are held for longer and grown out. And this is the first system that you have with the full deck of Radions.
Yes, yes. Got Radions, and we're about to shift over those halides over to Radion. But yeah, Triton method over here. We still employ a ton of Triton over here, but these systems are like typical wholesale systems where stuff's going in and out, big water changes, a lot of detritus, sucking stuff out. So these are a little bit more like traditional wholesale, but we still spot check and keep our parameters as close to natural seawater as possible.
I've seen this place grow and change and diversify, and then Triton, you know, became part of that formula. So what is your vision for the next few years, other than, you know, updating some of the equipment?
Sure. Well, big thing is the equipment. I'm kind of chasing this this need to get my electricity costs really, really low and make this place as quiet as can be, because again, it is like the second home. But we really want to build our collection. For a while, we were doing a lot of wholesale, doing a lot of, you know, holding and turning over, but I'm seeing a need, especially with this looming possibility that corals will be, you know, a thing of the past. We won't be able to import, especially with Hawaii setting precedent. It's probably important for somebody like me who depends on this as a source of income for my family to start banking some genetic material in the form of a really cool collection. So being diversified with wholesale and retail hasn't allowed me to focus so much on the collection, but with some new hires and some really dedicated staff, I'm really thinking that the next year or so is going to be just crazy over here.
Very cool. Well, I know that you got to get ready for Reef Palooza, and we both have to skedaddle over to shoot the next aquarium.
Yeah.
We'll change your shirt and make it look like it's a completely different day. But it's good to see you, man.
Cool, man. Always a
Good luck
pleasure,
with
Jake.
everything, and
Got it.
we'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Happy reefing.